In the depths of the universe, in the darkness of the edges, the last human fleet is moving forward slowly. Hundreds of broken warships formed a loose shape, and the body was filled with scars left by the battle, like a wasteland torn by countless sharp claws. In the middle of the fleet, a flagship named Dawn No was difficult to maintain the energy shield, and the faint blue light looked so small in the starry sea. Inside the bridge, Guanting stood in front of the guide platform, holding the column tightly with both hands. His eyes penetrated the porthole, and looked at the endless empty space. His face was covered in frost, and there was a thread of fatigue that could not be covered in his eyebrows. As the leader of the human finale, the pressure on his shoulders was almost going to crush him. The energy reserve of the fleet is no longer enough to support the next long-distance run, and the pursuit of the clan is like a shadow, which may swallow them at any time. Only 7% of the energy reserve is left. Adjutant Yuchen's voice came from the side, with a hint of anxiety in his language. He stood in front of the end of the data, his fingers quickly tapped the virtual keyboard, and a red warning message was displayed on the screen. If we don't find any supplements, we can't even end up with our basic life maintenance system for 3 days. Guanting turned his head and looked at Yuchen, clicked a little, his voice was quiet and calm. I know. But we can't stop, stopping means death. Continue to scan the surrounding star fields, and no energy fluctuations can be let go. Yuchen sighed, pushed the optical lens on his nose, and muttered, can't you give yourself a leave? Your eyes haven't even met these days. On holiday? Guanting smiled bitterly. When we find a safe place, I ask you for a real cup of earth coffee. What's the matter? Yuchen rolled his eyes and said unhappily, the earth is gone, where are you going to make coffee? Don't tease me, but think about how to survive. The conversation between the two was interrupted by a hurrying police report. The red warning lights in the bridge flickered wildly, and the shocking report from the outposts in the communication channel, Captain. The clan signal was detected. Small raids, with a number of about 30 ships, are approaching us at high speed. Guanting's face suddenly became cold. He quickly walked to the main console, pressed his hands on the virtual screen, and a strange light flashed in his eyes. That was his star core perception ability being activated, a rare talent that allows him to perceive the fine microwave movement of cosmic energy and even predict the enemy's movement. The orientation, speed, and energy reaction give me all the data. Guanting's voice was cold and decisive, and everyone in the bridge felt an invisible pressure. Yuchen quickly reported, the enemy is approaching from behind the port side, with a speed of 3,000 units per second. The energy reaction shows that it is a spike-shaped protrusion of the zombie tribe, with concentrated firepower but weak defense. Guanting closed his eyes and a three-dimensional battle picture appeared in the sea of brain. His perception is like an invisible touch, penetrating the sea of stars and capturing the energy fluctuations of each clan warship. He can see their movements and even feel their attacking intentions. Order all warships to adjust the shape and retract to the C-type defense network. The main firepower transport is turned to the port side and is ready to intercept the first wave of impact. The guard is responsible for the side wing protection, and the energy shield is fully opened. Guanting's order came down like a bead gun, and the atmosphere inside the bridge was instantly tightened. This is too risky. Our energy does not support the high strength of the battle. Yuchen couldn't help reminding, and a cold sweat was already blowing out on the head. Guanting opened his eyes quietly, his eyes as sharp as a knife. We don't have any choice. If they break through the shape, the team will be over. Trust me, we can win this battle. Yuchen gritted his teeth. Although he had doubts, he still executed the order quickly. He knew that the champion had never disappointed the team, and even at the most desperate moment, this young leader could always create miracles. In the sea of stars, the thrusts of the clan tribe are like a group of bloodthirsty wild animals, swaying at the human fleet with their claws. Their body appears black, covered with sharp bone spurs on the surface, and the energy muzzles are flashing with green light, emitting the breath of death. The first wave of impact, prepare. Guanting's voice spread through every battleship through the communication channel. I heard that I fell. 3, 2, 1, start the fire. As the voice fell, the main gun of Dawn took the lead in roaring, and a hot beam of ionic light tore through the darkness and hit the core of the Celestial Clan team. In an instant, several warships of the clan were destroyed into pieces, and green energy slags scattered in the starry sky. But the number of the Zodiac tribes quickly emerged. They did not care about their companions' losses and continued to rush towards the human fleet at a crazy speed. The guardrail on the side wings was under huge pressure, and the shields of several small ships were instantly penetrated, and the explosion of fire was released in the sea of stars. "Long, the side wings can't be held back." Yuchen's voice was shaking, and the loss report on the screen made him feel shocked. Guanting didn't respond, his hands tightly clasped, and there was a strange light in his eyes. His star core perception ability moves with all his might, and every detail of the clan fleet appears in the sea of brains. He suddenly shouted, "All the firepower on the starboard side is concentrated to attack the core position of the enemy team, with coordinates X47, Y92. Now!" Yuchen was stunned for a moment, then responded and quickly issued an order. "All the order is heard, the firepower is concentrated, the target is X47, Y92, start the fire." The firepower of the human fleet was instantly adjusted, and dozens of energy beams gathered into a huge torrent, accurately hitting the core of the mid-clan fleet. A deafening explosion sounded over the sea of stars, the clan's command was torn apart directly, and the surrounding raids were also disintegrating in the energy impact wave. Success! Their appearance has collapsed. Yuchen shouted excitedly, and a burst of crying sounds emerged from the bridge. Guanting didn't relax, and his perception told him that the battle was not over yet. Sure enough, several remaining clan warships let out a harsh scream and tried to launch the final self-destructive impact. The guards retreat and the main firepower is cut off. "Don't let them get closer to the core." Guanting's order came up again, and there was unquestionable majesty in his voice. In the final interception, although the human fleet paid the price of several ships, it successfully repaid the thunder of the clan. The starry sea returned to its level, leaving only floating bones and faint energy waves. Inside the bridge, Guanting long vomited a breath and leaned against the guide platform, with sweat on the head. Yuchen walked over, patted his shoulder, and spoke in his voice, "Long, your star core perception is really open." Just then, it was as if you knew their weaknesses in advance. Guanting smiled and said with a headshot, "It's not that I opened it, but I just saw a little more than others." However, this victory was not easy. We lost 3 guards, and our energy storage dropped below 5%. Yuchen's smile froze and said in a low voice, "Yes. If we have such a sudden storm again, we may be really finished." The atmosphere was a little heavy for a while, and the shouts in the bridge gradually calmed down. Guanting stood up straight, his eyes swept over every member, his voice was low and full of strength. "I know everyone is tired, and I also know how bad our situation is. But we are still alive. As long as we live, there is hope. I promise you, I will take you to find a safe place to rest and find hope for humans to stand up again." A ray of light ignited in the eyes of the staff, and they knew that Guanting never broke his promise. At this moment, Yuchen suddenly walked to the end of the data and made an ancient star chart, with a flash of excitement in his language. "Long, I may have found a thread. Based on the energy fluctuation analysis just now, I found an unusual signal pointing to an ancient star field. In the story, there may be at central of the star core a strange energy source that can solve the energy crisis in the universe." Guanting's eyes narrowed slightly, and countless remarks about heart of the star core appeared in the sea of brains. That was the last hope of human civilization before its demise, and it was also the only trace left by his father before his death. "Are you sure?" Guanting's voice was filled with doubts, but more of it was expectation. Yuchen pointed out, "Not sure, but this is our only chance. If we can find the heart of the star core, it will not only solve the energy crisis, but may even reverse the battle with the clan." Guanting was silent for a moment, and finally made up his mind. "Okay, adjust the course, aim that star field. Go forward at full speed." Yuchen pointed at the head, but there was a hint of worry in his eyes. He knew that this decision meant greater risks, perhaps even the death of the fleet. At the same time, in a small repair ship behind the fleet, a figure stood in a dark corner, and the communication device in his hand emitted a faint light. He said in a low voice, "Wang Lei reported that the fleet has changed its course and the target is suspected to be the star field where the heart of the star core is located. Please instruct the next move." A low laughter came from the other end of the communication, followed by a cold voice, "Very good, continue to linger. Let Guanting think he had seized hope, and then, destroy it with his own hands." Wang Lei turned off the communication device, pulled a sneer on the corner of his mouth, his eyes full of coldness. He turned away, as if he had never appeared in this darkness. In the sea of stars, dawn adjusts its course and leads the team to drive towards the unknown star field. Guanting stood on the bridge, staring at the far side, and a ray of hope ignited in his heart. In the depths of the starry sea, the dawn led the last human fleet to dive into an unknown star field. The starry sky here is unusually different, and countless dark purple star clouds circling like huge vortexes, scattering weak and uneasy energy waves. Each warship of the fleet is particularly cautious, and the energy protection shield is maintained at a minimum power to avoid causing unknown dangers. Inside the bridge, Guanting stood in front of the guide platform, staring at the red markings on the virtual star. That is the location of the suspected heart of the star core analyzed by Yuchen based on energy waves. His star core perception ability felt a powerful energy movement, which was transmitted from that direction, like a heartbeat, making him both excited and uneasy. The length of the ship, 3 standard stars from the target point, is expected to arrive in 2 hours. Yuchen stood next to the end of the data, with a burst of fatigue in his voice. He didn't rest for several days, with heavy dark circles hanging under his eyes, but his fingers still tapped the keyboard quickly, analyzing the data in the surrounding star fields. "However, I have to remind you that the energy fluctuations in this star field are extremely unstable, maybe some unknown radiation, or even a trap." Guanting clicked the head and said in a deep voice, "I know. But we don't have any choice. There's only 4.8% energy reserve. If we can't find a supplement, we will never have the chance to go back. Continue to monitor and report any abnormalities immediately." Yuchen sighed and muttered, "Long, you are so excited that you want to win. What should you do if you don't know the heart of the star core, but the enmity of the clan?" Guanting glanced at him, and a smile came out of the corner of his mouth. "Then let's fight for a while. I don't plan to take everyone to die together." Yuchen praised his voice and said nothing more, but just buried his head and continued to analyze the data. He knew that Guanting's decision was never blind, and this young leader always had a way to find a line of life in the absolute. At this moment, a sudden alarm came from the communication channel in the bridge. The sound of the outpost's longship was shaking and shaking. Cross. An unknown fleet signal was detected ahead, with a number of about 50 ships, which was enclosing and approaching us at high speed. The energy reaction does not belong to the zombie tribe, it is suspected to be an alien civilization. Guanting's face darkened, he quickly walked to the main console and pressed his hands on the virtual screen. His star core perception ability instantly started, and the blurred wheels of the opponent's fleet appeared in the brain. These warships are smaller in size, but their energy fluctuations are extremely strong, like the products of some high-tech civilization. Adjust the shape and prevent the posture. The communication channels are fully opened and the peace signal is sent. We are not here to provoke trouble, don't give yourself more enemies. Guanting's order was decisive and cold, and the atmosphere inside the bridge suddenly became tight. Yuchen quickly executed the order and said in a low voice, "Long, these guys don't look like they are here to chat. Their team is so striking, as if they knew we were coming for a long time." Guanting pointed, his eyes flashed with a warning, "It may be a coincidence, or maybe, we were targeted. We are ready to make the right plan. If the other party is invincible, we will fight back immediately." After a few minutes, the other party's communication signal was connected, and a low and cold voice was transmitted through the channel, using a common word in the universe, but the language was filled with a heavy arrogance. "I am the commander of the 3rd Patrol of the Zalk civilization." You have entered our star domain and have not been allowed to enter without authorization, which violates the Intercivilized Star International Law. Stop immediately and hand over your energy reserves as a penalty, otherwise we will see you as enemy forces. The air inside the bridge solidified instantly. Yuchen gritted his teeth and said in a low voice, "These guys are simply powerful. Our energy storage is not enough, and handing over it is like killing yourself." Guanting's face was also unusually difficult to see. He could feel the energy fluctuations of the other team's fleet were strong enough to crush their broken fleet. But he remained calm and said to Yuchen in a low voice, "Dragon time first, I should be right." Then, he pressed the communication button, and his language was calm and serene and carried unquestionable dignity. "I am the leader of the human finale. We did not intend to infringe on the valuable territory, but just passed by to find supplements. The energy reserve was no longer enough to support basic operations. I hope it would be able to be comfortable and we would like to cooperate in other ways." The other party's commander sneered. His vocalization became stronger. "Human? A race that is about to be destroyed, dare to talk to us about conditions? Law is the law, no exception. Give you 10 minutes to hand over all the energy to store, otherwise we will execute it." The communication was cut off and there was a dead silence inside the bridge. Guanting clamped his fists and thought about solutions quickly in the sea of brain. Head-on battles are obviously not wise. The situation of the fleet cannot support a battle, but the energy supply is not different from self-destruction. At this moment, the door of the bridge suddenly opened, and a cold voice came from behind. "Long, maybe I can help you solve this trouble." Guanting turned around and saw that the person coming was Yuang, the mysterious female ally from another civilization. She was wearing a long, light blue robe, elegant and cold, and her eyes were filled with a wise light. Her appearance made the atmosphere in the bridge a little calmer. "Do you have any way?" Guanting raised his eyebrows slightly, and there was a burst of expectation in his voice. Yuang clicked a little, walked to the end of the communication, and said calmly, "The Zerg civilization is based on law first, but their legal system is not indefinite. I have studied the cross-civilization law, and their price requirements must be based on clear and illegal regulations, and you are just passing by and have not yet formed a real threat. I can use this to negotiate with them." Yuchen couldn't help but interrupt, "You sure can convince them? These guys don't look like they can talk about the truth." Yuang glanced at him and slighted on the corner of her mouth. "Tell me the truth?" "No, I just let them understand that they can't afford the consequences of violating the law." "Chief, hand me the communication channel." Guanting hesitated for a moment and immediately pointed out, "Okay, try it. If it doesn't work, we will think of another way." Yuang received the communication control rights and reconnected the other party's channel. Her voice was cold and full of pressure. "The commander of the 3rd Patrol of Zerg Civilization, I am the legal advisor of the human fleet, and I will negotiate with you on behalf of the head of the Crown Arch. According to the 4th chapter of the Star Civilization Contract, Article 7, Paragraph 3, without explicitly certifying threatening behavior, no civilization shall plunder other resources under the name of deduction. Your behavior has been construed as overpowering. If the demand for the sale is not immediately withdrawn, we will file a complaint with the International Arbitral Tribunal and reserve the right to counterattack." The other party's commander Ming was stunned for a moment, with a slight uncertainty in his linguistic spirit. Do you humans still understand the law? Is this a threat?" Yuang sneered and continued, "It's not a threat, it's a fact. Zerg civilization regards itself as a law. If it is exposed for violations, your reputation will plummet. I believe your agreement will hope to see such results." Everyone in the bridge held their breath and waited for the other party's response. A few seconds later, an unwilling humming came from the communication channel. "Okay, you're leaving. We'll withdraw our request at a moment, but you must leave this star field within 24 hours, otherwise we won't guarantee the consequences." The communication was cut off again, and a low voice burst out from the bridge. Yuchen patted Yuang on the shoulder and grinned, "It's so bad. I thought I was going to fight for a game, but I didn't expect you to scare them in just 2 words." Yuang didn't smile. She turned to Guanting, with a serious expression. Long, this is just a temporary solution. The Zerg civilization is not a good one. They are likely to secretly monitor us, or even contact other forces to create trouble. Moreover, I have a bad guess. Guanting's eyebrows were snaking. What guess? Yueying softened her voice and said, the invasion of the clan may not be simple. According to the information I have, the recent conflict between the Zerg civilization and several other powerful forces has suddenly decreased with the clan, and there are even rumors that they are working secretly. If this is true, there may be greater slander behind the clan, and we are looking for the heart of the Star Core, which is likely to touch the core interests of some forces. Guanting's face became even more intense. He was silent for a moment and said in a low voice, what do you mean, may the zombie be manipulated? Yueying pointed out, this possibility is not ruled out. Chief, we must be careful not only to guard against the clans, but also to guard against the allies at our own right. Her words made Guanting feel nervous, and he felt a bigger storm was curling. But he had not had time to think deeply, and the alarm sound in the bridge sounded again, and this time the sound became even more rapid. Long. The energy system is abnormal, and the output power of the active core suddenly drops by 30%. If it is not repaired immediately, we will not be able to maintain the fleet sailing. The crew responsible for the project reported in panic, and a series of red fault warnings were displayed on the screen. Yuchen quickly adjusted the data, and his face turned blue. It's not natural waste, it seems to be destroyed by someone. Someone cut off the stable device of the main energy redirection, causing the core to pass. Guanting stood up straight, his eyes flashing with anger. Being destroyed? Immediately block all core areas and adjust the monitoring records. Yuchen, come with me to the project, I want to check it myself. Yuchen clicked the head, and the two quickly left the bridge and took a team of security personnel to the project. On the way, Yuchen couldn't help but whisper, Long, this is not simple. Only insiders can move their hands and feet in the energy system. Guanting snorted coldly, with a suppressed anger in his speech, no matter who it is, as long as I catch it, I will never give it light. There is a mess within the project. The pipes around the energy core sparked, and the pungent burnt smell spread in the air. Several engineers tried to repair the picture with forehands, but the core overloading state made them unable to do anything. Guanting walked to the main control panel and pressed his hands on the operating table. The Star Core perception ability was activated again. He could feel the turbulent fluctuations inside the energy core, as if someone deliberately set up some kind of interference program. Yuchen, help me calm down on the left side, I'll adjust the core output. Guanting's voice turned cold and calm, and sweated on the top. Yuchen quickly stood on the other side and cooperated with Guanting. The two of them tacitly adjusted the energy flow without interruption. After a few minutes, the core's overload status was finally controlled, and the output power slowly rebounded, but the energy reserve of the fleet dropped by 0.5%, almost at the edge of the collapse. I was calm at a moment, but this was just a measure of right. Guanting wiped the sweat from the head and said to Yuchen, have there any results in the supervision record? Yuchen slammed his head and looked hard. The monitoring near the project was closed in advance, without any images. But I found a suspicious point. Before the failure occurred, someone adjusted a batch of spare parts on the repair shop, and the applicant was anonymous, which obviously did not meet the rules. Guanting's eyes narrowed slightly, and a vague guess appeared in the sea of brains, anonymous. Humph, it seems that there is a poisonous snake hidden in our fleet. Yuchen quietly investigates all the people who have had abnormal behaviors recently, especially the records on the repairing ship. I want to know who is behind the scenes. Yuchen pointed and said in a low voice, I understand, the ship is long. But we have to hurry, the energy system may collapse again at any time, and the Zerg civilization has not given us much time. Guanting's eyes swept over the busy crew in the construction, and anger arose in his heart. He knew that this destruction was not only a threat to the fleet, but also a challenge to him as the leader. He must find out the traitor, otherwise a greater crisis will be behind him. At the same time, in a remote corner where they're repairing the factory, Wang Lei stood behind a pile of scrapped parts, and the small end in his hand emitted a faint light. He said to the communication in a low voice, "The energy system damage has been completed, the fleet speed has dropped, and it is temporarily unable to reach the target. What is the next plan?" There was a low laugh at the other end of the communication, followed by the cold voice, "Very good, Wang Lei. You did a good job. Next, continue to linger. When they approach the heart of the star core, they will give them a fatal blow. Remember, our goal is not only to destroy this team, but also to make the Guanting extremely hopeful." Wang Lei turned off the communication device and pulled a cold smile from the corner of his mouth. He turned away, as if he had never appeared in this darkness. In the sea of stars, the Dawn leadership team continued to move forward, getting closer and closer to the energy signal suspected to be the heart of the star core. But Guanting knew that the road ahead would never be smooth. There are strong enemies outside and traitors secretly causing trouble. He must be more cautious than ever before. Inside the bridge, Guanting stood in front of the porthole, gazing at the stars far away, and a certain light ignited in his heart. He said in a low voice, "No matter who it is, no matter how difficult it is, I will live with everyone. We will definitely find the heart of the star core." Number of words, about 3,800 words. In the depths of the starry sea, Dawn led the last human fleet to dive into a core star field wrapped in dark purple star clouds. In the center of the star cloud, a huge source of dynamic energy is hidden, emitting strong waves, allowing the energy detectors of each warship to almost load. Guanting stood in front of the bridge's guide platform, holding the column tightly with both hands, and the flashing in his eyes was inconsistent with the excitement. His star core perception ability clearly tells him that this is the star core heart in the tradition, the final hope for the revival of human civilization. When the ship is long, only one standard star left from the target, it is expected to arrive in 30 minutes. Yuchen stood next to the end of the data, with a vibrating sound, but immediately raised his eyebrows. "However, the energy fluctuation around is too strong, interfering with our detection system. If an enemy is ambushing, we may not be able to find out in advance." Guanting pointed his head and said in a deep voice, "I know. Order all warships to maintain the highest alert, the energy shield is fully opened, and the firepower system is on standby at any time. The heart of the star core is right in front of us, and we cannot take advantage of the last step." Yuchen quickly issued an order, and the atmosphere inside the bridge was intense and stressed. Every ship knows that this moment of failure will determine the future of human beings. Their energy reserve has dropped to 3.2% of the dangerous situation, and even the basic life maintenance system is almost out of control. At this moment, the alarm sound in the bridge suddenly sounded harshly, and the red warning lights flashed wildly. The outpost ship was shocked by the geographic communication channel, "Fleet." Large-scale zombie signals were detected. Number, the quantity cannot be estimated, at least hundreds of ships, which are fully enclosed and are approaching us at high speed. Guanting's face suddenly became cold. He quickly walked to the main console, pressed his hands on the virtual screen, and the star core perception ability was moving with all his strength. In the brain, a three-dimensional battle map quickly unfolded, and the energy fluctuations of countless clan warships flooded like a tide, surrounding the fleet from all directions. He could feel that the scale of this zodiac tribe was far beyond the past, and even more terrifying than the last battle when human civilization fell. How could it be like this? Yuchen's voice was trembling, and the number of enemies on the data screen made him shocked. This is not an ordinary outbreak, this is a comprehensive suppression. Our energy and firepower should not be as large as this. Guanting gritted his teeth and looked as sharp as a knife. "You have to fight if you don't lose it. If we retreat, the heart of the star core will never belong to us. Order all warships to be adjusted to the iron wall shape, the core is centered, and the defense network is formed outside the wall. The main firepower ship concentrates firepower and is ready to tear the gap." Yuchen clicked a little, and although he had doubts, he still executed the order quickly. He knew that the champion had never disappointed the team, and even at the most desperate moment, this young leader could always create miracles. In the sea of stars, the zombies' fleets rushed towards each other like black waves, and hundreds of warships formed a huge enclosure network. Their body is terrifying, covered with sharp bone spurs on the surface, and their energy muzzles are flashing with green light, emitting the breath of death. Unlike in the past, the actions of this zodiac race are unusually coordinated, as if there is some higher-level wisdom in pointing out. The first wave of impact, prepare. Guanting's voice spread through every battleship through the communication channel. I heard that I fell. 3, 2, 1, start the fire. As the voice fell, the main gun of Dawn took the lead and roared. A hot ion beam of light tore through the darkness and hit the front of the squad's fleet. Tens of the clan warships were destroyed into pieces, and green energy slags scattered in the starry sky. But this is just a cup of water in Carmani, and more zombie warships come like locusts, and they don't care about their companions' losses. The pressure on the side wings is too great. 5 guards have been lost, and the defense network is about to be broken through. Yuchen's voice was filled with anxiety, and the loss report on the data screen made him shocked. Guanting closed his eyes, and the star core perception ability was moving with all his strength. His consciousness penetrates the battlefield and captures the energy fluctuations of each clan warship. Suddenly, his eyes suddenly opened, and a vibrating sound was in his voice. Yuchen, I found their weaknesses. The clan's command signal came from a very large mother ship with an unusually large body shape, and its energy fluctuations were completely different from other warships. If we could destroy it, the clan's coordination would collapse. Yuchen was stunned for a moment and immediately responded, Are you saying, they have central commands? But that mother ship is at the core of the enemy, and the firepower cover is too strong. How can we get close to it? Guanting sneered at the corner of his mouth, and quickly outlined a tortuous raid on the virtual screen. We don't force ourselves to distract them. Order the left wing's guard to attack to attract enemy fire. Dawn's signal led the Jingjiang firepower, walked from the right wing, used Xinyan's interference to hide the track, and penetrated directly into the core of the enemy. Yuchen gritted his teeth. Although the plan was extremely risky, he still chose to believe Guanting. Okay, listen to you. The left wing team will carry out the feint attack mission, the right wing follow the Dawn number, and prepare for a sudden attack. At the battlefield, the human fleet quickly adjusted its shape. The left-wing guards rushed towards the front of the clan at any cost, attracting a large amount of enemy firepower. Although they were very frustrated, they successfully gained time for Dawn. Guanting pointed out the Dawn number and quietly sailed with several exquisite firepower ships. With the help of Xinyan's energy interference, he hit his own signal. There are still 5,000 units away from the mother ship. The energy shield maintains the lowest power, and the firepower system accumulates energy. Guanting's order was cold and decisive, and everyone in the bridge held their breath. Yuchen stood next to the end of the data and said in a low voice, Long, if this blow fails, we may not have the chance to retreat. Guanting pointed his head and his eyes were fixed. I know. But we have no way out. The heart of the Star Core is right in front of us. This battle must be won. When the dawn finally surrounds behind the mother's side of the celestial family, Guanting's Star Core perception ability clearly captures the core energy points of the mother's land. It was an unusually strong green movement, like the brain of the clan. He shouted suddenly, all firepower will concentrate on attacking the core of the mother ship. Dawn and the main guns of the firepower fleet exploded at the same time, and several hot beams of light gathered into a destructive torrent, accurately hitting the core of the Zhongjiao mothership. A deafening explosion sounded over the sea of stars, and the mothership was torn apart directly, and the surrounding zombie warships fell into chaos in an instant. The movements were no longer coordinated, and they began to collide with each other or even kill each other. Success! Their appearance has collapsed. Yuchen shouted excitedly, and a burst of crying sounds emerged from the bridge. But the championship was not relaxed, and he knew the battle was not over yet. Although the coordination of the Zodiac tribe is damaged, the quantity advantage still exists. The surviving clan warship screamed harshly, trying to launch the final self-destructive impact. Order all warships to concentrate firepower to clean up the enemy. Don't let them get close to the core. Guanting's order came up again, and there was unquestionable majesty in his voice. In the final interception, the human fleet paid a huge price. More than a dozen guards were destroyed by the clan's self-destruction, and the energy shield of Dawn almost collapsed, and even many cracks appeared on the body. But in the end, the Siege clan's siege was finally retreated, and the starry sea returned to its level, leaving only floating skeletons and faint energy fluctuations. Inside the bridge, Guanting long vomited a breath and leaned against the guide platform, with sweat on the head. Yuchen walked over, patted his shoulder, and spoke in his voice, "Long, your star core perception is really a life-saving weapon." Just then, it was as if he knew their lives in advance. Guanting smiled and said with a headshot, "It's not a magical tool, it's just that I've seen a little more than others." However, this victory was too difficult. We lost nearly 1/3 of our ships, and our energy reserves fell below 2.5%, almost at the edge of collapse. Yuchen's smile froze and said in a low voice, "Yes, the staff's taxi may fall to the bottom again. With such a big price, if the heart of the star core is just a transcript, we will be finished." The atmosphere was a little heavy for a while, and the shouts in the bridge gradually calmed down. At this moment, the door of the bridge suddenly opened, and Yuang walked in, her face extremely solemn. She held a small data end in her hand and said in a low voice, "Chief, I have important information to report. Regarding this siege, there are also traitors from the inside of the fleet." Guanting had a brow and stood up straight, "Say." Yuang walked to Guanting and said in a low voice, "Based on the news that I intercepted from the Intercivilization Information Network, this siege suppression is not accidental. Someone leaked our routes and goals to the siege in advance, and even helped them formulate a siege plan. And this person is inside our fleet, Wang Lei." "Wang Lei?" Yuchen's face turned blue in an instant, and he said angrily, "Is that guy not one of the responsible persons for repairing the factory? Why is it him?" Yuang said coldly, "He is not only a responsible person, but also a traitor who surrendered to the clan. According to the information, he reached a secret agreement with the clan a few months ago, with the purpose of destroying our fleet and changing personal safety and power. This destruction of the energy system is also his hand." Guanting's fist clenched suddenly, and a flash of anger flashed in his eyes. "What a Wang Lei! I have long felt that the problem of repairing the factory is not simple. Yuang, is there any evidence?" Yuang pointed the head and sent the data to Guanting. "This is a blocked message record. Although it has been encrypted, I have cracked a part of it. There is a conversation between Wang Lei and the contact of the clan, which clearly mentioned our route in the heart of the star core." Guanting quickly browsed the record, and his face became more and more heavy. He suddenly turned his head and said to Yuchen, "Immediately block the repairing ship, gather the security team, and arrest Wang Lei. I'll ask him by myself." Yuchen pointed at the head and quickly issued an order, "I understand. Security team, act immediately, aim to repair the ship, and arrest Wang Lei, no one can stop him." A few minutes later, the security team reported that Wang Lei was arrested in a remote corner where the factory was repaired. When he was taken to the detention room at dawn, his face was faint, but instead he had a cold smile. Guanting stood outside the detention room, watching Wang Lei coldly through the energy barrier, with a suppressed anger in his voice. "Wang Lei, what else do you have to say? Why do you betray humans? Why do you defect to the zombie?" Wang Lei raised his head and pulled a mocking smile on his lips. "Bend? Guanting, you are too naive. All human hopes and rejuvenation are jokes. We have already finished. The earth is gone and civilization is gone. Continuing the slap is just deceiving yourself. But I chose a way to live. The Celestials agreed to me that as long as they help them destroy this team, I will gain power under their rule, which is much stronger than following you to die." Guanting's fist was tightly clenched, almost trying to rush in and beat him up, but he still suppressed his anger and said coldly, "Do you think the clans will keep their promises? They can even kill their companions, but you are their pawns." Wang Lei sneered and said with a sneer, "So what? At least I am still alive now." "Guanting, you can't get the heart of the star core at all. Even if you get it, you can't change anything. The power behind the Celestial clan is stronger than you imagined. Guantang's eyes narrowed slightly, and the guess that Yuang mentioned earlier appeared in her brain. The clan might just be some more powerful puppet. But he didn't have time to delve into it. The most important thing now is to stabilize the team and seize the heart of the star core. Come on, take him to the highest level detention room and take good care of it. Guantang turned away, with a cold voice in his voice. Wang Lei, your betrayal will be paid for. When we win the heart of the star core, I will let you see with your own eyes that the hope of humanity has never been extinguished. After Wang Lei was taken away, Guantang returned to the bridge, and his heart was extremely heavy. The team's loss exceeded expectations, and the staff's taxi fell to the bottom, and some even began to wonder whether it was worth it. The warning sound of energy storage continued to rise, reminding him every minute, and there was no time left. He stood in the middle of the bridge and spoke to all the staff through the communication channel. His voice was low and full of strength. I know, everyone is tired, and I know how much we have paid. I know, someone is starting to wonder if we still have hope. But I want to tell you, as long as we are still alive, as long as we can still fight, hope will never be extinguished. The heart of the star core is right in front of us. It is not only a source of energy, but also a fire of human rejuvenation. I promise you that no matter how difficult it is, no matter what price you pay, I will take you to get it and rebuild your home. The staff in the bridge were silent for a moment, and then someone whispered, Long, we believe in you. This sentence seemed to have a fire ignited, and others agreed. Although the sound was weak, a ray of light ignited in their eyes. Yuchen walked to Guantang and said in a low voice, Long, your words are effective. But we have to be quick, and the energy reserve will not last long. Guantang pointed his head, his eyes fixed on the center of the star cloud far away, and a certain light ignited in his heart. I know. Order all warships to adjust the course and move forward at full speed. We must get the heart of the star core. In the sea of stars, the Dawn continued to move forward with a broken fleet, and the energy signal points closer and closer to the heart of the star core. Guantang stood on the bridge, eclipsing the group's dynamic light, and his heart was both expectant and heavy. He knew that although this battle retreated from the Celestial tribe and resolved internal crisis, the greater challenge was still ahead. The secret behind the clan, the truth of the heart of the star core, and even the stronger power mentioned by Wang Lei are like a group of mists, covering their future. But no matter what, he would not give up. As the leader of the finale of humans, he must lead everyone to hope, even if this road is full of thorns. Number of words, about 3,800 words. In the depths of the starry sea, Dawn leads the last human fleet to dive into the core star field at the heart of the star core. The dark purple star clouds circled like a huge vortex, and a group of dazzling light in the center was scattering with unparalleled energy waves. That is the heart of the star core, the final hope for the revival of human civilization. Guantang stood in front of the bridge's guide platform, his eyes penetrated the porthole and gazed at the group of light. His heart was both expectant and heavy. His star core perception ability clearly tells him that not only does it have infinite energy, but also hides greater dangers. The length of the ship is only 5,000 units away from the heart of the star core, and the energy detector is almost overloaded. Yuchen stood next to the end of the data, with a vibrating sound, but immediately raised his eyebrows. However, the energy fluctuations around him are abnormally disordered, like a barrier interfering with our system. I have a bad feeling, and this place is absolutely not simple. Guantang clicked a little and said in a deep voice, I know. Order all warships to maintain the highest alert, the energy shield is fully opened, and the firepower system is on standby at any time. We have come to this point and cannot retreat. We must get the heart of the star core. Yuchen quickly issued an order, and the atmosphere inside the bridge was intense and stressed. The energy reserve of the team is only 2.3%, and the basic life maintenance system is almost out of control. Every ship knows that this moment of failure will determine the future of human beings. At this moment, the alarm sounds in the bridge sounded harshly, and the red warning lights flashed wildly. the outpost ship was shocked by the subway transmission via the communication channel, Fairer. The super-large horoscope signal was detected. The number cannot be estimated, at least thousands. They emerged from the star clouds around the heart of the star core, showing a comprehensive enlargement. And there is a huge energy reaction, like some kind of core nest. Guanting's face suddenly became cold. He quickly walked to the main console, pressed his hands on the virtual screen, and the star core perception ability was moving with all his strength. In the brain, a three-dimensional battle map quickly unfolded, and the energy waves of countless clan warships flooded like black tides, surrounding the fleet from all directions. And directly above the heart of the star core, a huge energy vortex seemed to be hidden, emitting a heart-pounding power. There, Guanting felt an unprecedented existence, the ultimate leader of the celestial clan. "This is the core nest of the clan," Guanting said in a low voice, with a trembling sound, but more of a determination. "They regard the heart of the star core as the last line of defense. In this battle, we must face their king." Yuchen bit his teeth tightly, his face turned blue. "Thousands of warships of the clan, and core nests. Our energy and firepower are not enough at all. This is a self-killing battle." Guanting turned his head to look at him, his eyes as sharp as a knife. "If we don't fight this battle, we will never have hope. Yuchen, believe me, I will take everyone to survive. Order all warships to be adjusted to the bayonet shape, Don No, and penetrate the core nest of the clan. We want to tear open their defenses and seize the heart of the star core." Yuchen was stunned for a moment, and then he pointed at the head. "Okay, listen to you. Listen to the whole line, adjust the shape, and follow the core of the Shuguang clan." In the sea of stars, the Sex fleets rushed in like black waves. Thousands of warships formed a huge encirclement network, with terrifying bodies covered with sharp bone spurs on the surface, and the energy muzzle flashed with green light, emitting the breath of death. Above the heart of the star core, a huge black nest floated, like some living building, surrounded by countless touching energy flows, emitting suffocating power. That is the ultimate core of the celestial tribe and the place where their kings are located. The first wave of impact, prepare. Guanting's voice spread through every battleship through the communication channel. "I heard that I fell. 3, 2, 1, start the fire." As the voice fell, the main gun of Dawn took the lead and roared. A hot ion beam of light tore through the darkness and hit the front of the squad's fleet. Tens of the clan warships were destroyed into pieces, and green energy slags scattered in the starry sky. But this is just a cup of water in Carmani, and more zombie warships come like locusts, and they don't care about their companions' losses. The pressure on the side wings is too great. 7 guards have been lost, and the defense network is about to be broken through. Yuchen's voice was filled with anxiety, and the loss report on the data screen made him shocked. Guanting closed his eyes, and the star core perception ability was moving with all his strength. His consciousness penetrated the battlefield, captured the energy waves of each zombie warship, and could even feel the terrifying will in the core nest. Suddenly, his body trembled, and a strange common bird appeared in the sea of brain. The energy fluctuation of the heart of the star core connected with his perception, like some ancient call. "The heart of the star core, it is calling me," Guanting said in a low voice, with a strange light flashing in his eyes. He suddenly opened his eyes and shouted to Yuchen, "Change the course, and the dawn will penetrate directly into the heart of the star core. I want to touch it with myself. Only its energy can help us turn the battle." Yuchen was stunned for a moment and immediately responded, "Chief, are you saying, using the heart of the star core to fight? But how can we break through the defense line of the zombie?" Guanting pulled a sneer on the corner of his mouth, and quickly outlined a tortuous raid on the virtual screen. "We don't force ourselves to distract them. Order the left-wing team to feign attack to attract enemy fire. The right-wing team covers the dawn, walks from the interfering area of Xingyun, and penetrates directly into the heart of the star core." Yuchen gritted his teeth. Although the plan was extremely risky, he still chose to believe Guanting. "Okay, listen to you. The left-wing team will carry out the feign attack mission, the right wing will cover the dawn number 1 and prepare for a sudden attack. At the battlefield, the human fleet quickly adjusted its shape. The left-wing guards rushed towards the front of the clan at any cost, attracting a large amount of enemy firepower. Although they were very frustrated, they successfully gained time for dawn. Guanting pointed out the dawn number and quietly sailed with several exquisite firepower ships. With the help of Xinyan's energy interference, he hid his own signal. When dawn finally approached the heart of the star core, Guanting stood in the middle of the bridge and closed his eyes. The star core perception ability had a strong communion with the group's brilliant light. His consciousness seemed to be sucked into a sideless ocean of energy, and a warm and powerful force flowed from the heart of the star core into his body, instantly elevating his perception to an unprecedented realm. "Long, what's wrong with you?" Yuchen asked tightly, seeing Guanting radiating a faint light, as if it was blending with the heart of the star core. Guanting opened his eyes quietly, and there was a vibration in his voice. "I felt the power of the heart of the star core. It is not only an energy source, but also an ancient will. I can use it to amplify my perception, and even directly drive the battle system of the fleet. Yuchen, prepare for energy transfer. I want to connect the power of the heart of the star core to the dawn node." Yuchen quickly operated the data end and cooperated with the engineering team to direct the energy flow of the core of the star core into the core system of dawn. In an instant, the power of the dawn power shield and firepower system surged, and the body emitted dazzling blue light, like a war god reborn from the ultimate realm. Full firepower and concentrate on attacking the core nest of the clan. Guanting's voice responded to the battle scene through the communication channel, carrying an incomparable majesty. "In this battle, we will finally end the threat of the clan." The main gun of dawn explosion released unprecedented power, and a huge energy beam tore through the sea of stars, directly hitting the outer barrier of the core nest of the zombie clan. The barrier collapsed in an instant, and a deafening roar sound came from the inside of the nest, and countless touch-like energy flows danced wildly, trying to reverse the picture. At this moment, Yuang walked from behind the bridge, holding a small data end in her hand. Her voice was cold and decisive. "Long, I analyzed the energy structure of the nest. Its core is at its deepest inside, a huge bioenergy core. If it can be destroyed, the entire system of the Celestial clan will collapse. But we must go deep into the nest, and the external attack cannot reach the core." Guanting pointed his head and his eyes were fixed. "Okay, Yuang, you and Yuchen are moving with me. Shuguang continues to suppress external firepower, and the three of us lead the elite team and take the Thunderbolt boat and penetrate directly into the nest." Yuchen was stunned for a moment, then smiled bitterly. "Chief, this is a real death-sending mission. But who will let me follow you? Let's go." Yuang coldly added, "According to the cross-civilization information, the leader of the clan may have a certain mental control ability. When approaching it, he must maintain his will, otherwise he will be manipulated." Guanting pointed at the head and led the two people quickly to the rushing boat to join in with a team of elite soldiers. They rowed a small raft boat, and under the cover of the firepower of the dawn, they successfully broke through the outer layer of the raft nest and entered the inside of the nest. The inside of the nest is like a dark bulb, with a pungent smell of rotten smell in the air, and the walls are covered with sticky biological organisms, squirming like living creatures. Guanting held the energy stepping gun in his hand, and the star core perception ability moved with all his might, guiding the team forward. His body was still in touch with the heart of the star core, and a warm force supported him, allowing him to withstand the mental pressure in the nest. "Be careful, there is energy reaction in front," Yuchen reminded in a low voice, and the end of the data shows a huge biological structure in front of him, emitting terrifying power. Guanting stopped and stared at the front. It was a huge leader of the clan, with a large body as big as a mountain, covered with black armor, dozens of touching hands dancing in the air, and the light of augur was flashing in their eyes. It emitted a low roar, and its mental waves swung like a tide, trying to invade each team's consciousness. "Precaution your mind. Don't be controlled by it." Guanting shouted loudly, and the energy of the heart of the star core flowed into his body, turning into an invisible barrier, resisting the mental impact. He suddenly rushed forward, and the energy step guns opened fire continuously, accurately hitting the weakness of the leader of the clan. Yuchen and Yuang quickly followed, and the two cooperated tacitly. Yuchen was responsible for firepower control. Yuang used her knowledge to analyze the leader's movement patterns and guide the attack direction. In the fierce battle, the head of the clan responded wildly, and a team member was hit, and the smell of blood made the air even more depressed. We won't last long if this continues," Yuchen said, gritting his teeth, and the energy-stepping medicine was almost exhausted. Guanting's face was unusually solemn. He could feel the energy in the heart of the star core boiling in his body, as if some kind of awakening was coming. He closed his eyes, his mind completely sinking into the co-bearing of the heart of the star core. Suddenly, a dazzling light burst out from his body, and the star core perception ability was increased to the extreme, and the energy structure of the entire nest was clearly displayed in his brain. Finished. Its core is deep in the chest cavity. Yuchen and Yuang pointed their heads, and tried their best to attract the attention of the leader of the clan. Guanting took a deep breath, and the energy from the heart of the star core gathered into a hot light blade in his hand. He suddenly rushed towards the leader of the clan, avoiding the attack of a line of touch, and accurately stabbed the light blade into the core position of the leader's chest cavity. A deafening roar echoed, and the core energy core of the leader of the clan was destroyed. The huge body began to collapse, and the inside of the nest was shaken violently, as if it was about to collapse. Guanting quickly led his troops to retreat, and the Thunderbolt boat rushed out of the nest at the last moment and returned to dawn. In the Sea of Stars, the collapse of the core nest of the clan tribe triggered a huge energy impact wave. After losing the control of the leader, the clan warship fell into chaos, killing itself or scattering away. The human fleet, led by Dawn, successfully cleared the final enemy, and the battlefield finally returned to peace. Inside the bridge, Guanting long vomited a breath and leaned against the guide platform, with sweat on the head. Yuchen walked over, patted his shoulder, and whispered in his voice, "Long, your star core power is really open." Just then, it was as if a god came to the world. Guanting smiled and said with a head, "It's not about opening, it's just that it's blazing with the power of the heart of the star core. We won this battle, but the price is too high." His eyes swept over the data screen, and the team's loss report made people heartbroken. Nearly half of the warships were destroyed and countless crew members were killed in the battle. But their sacrifice changed into human hope. The heart of the star core finally belonged to them. Yuang walked to Guanting, with a rare gentleness in her voice, "Long, you did it. You not only destroyed the core of the clan, but also brought hope of revival to the human race. Next, using the energy of the heart of the star core, we can restart the fleet system and even find a new home." Guanting pointed, and a certain light ignited in his eyes. "Yes, the war is over, but our path is not over yet." Yuchen organized an engineering team, connect the energy of the core of the star core into the main system of the fleet, and restore the operational capabilities of all warships. Yuang, help me analyze the surrounding star fields and find a planet suitable for human settlement. We want every casual person to know that their blood is not in vain. Yuchen and Yuang clicked and quickly started working. With the energy support of the heart of the star core, the main system of the fleet gradually recovered, and the energy reserve increased from 2.3% of the collapse to full load, even exceeding the previous limit. The Dawn's body emits dazzling blue light, like a star of hope reborn from the ultimate realm. A few days later, Yuang found a livable planet located in a nearby star field through the Intercivilization Information Network. There are abundant water sources and vegetation, suitable for human reconstruction. Guanting ordered the team to adjust its course and lead the remaining human civilization to move towards a new future. When the fleet arrived at that planet, Guanting stood on the Bridge of Dawn, gazing at the blue planet below, feeling mixed emotions. He recalled the hardships along the way, from the fall of his homeland, to the vague wandering, and then to the life and death struggle with the sacred tribe. He had doubted countless times whether he could take on the heavy responsibility of leading the leader, but now, he finally led his leader out of the absolute state. "Chief, you did it." Yuchen stood beside him, choking with a sob in his voice. We really have a home." Guanting turned his head and looked at him and smiled. "No, It was done by us together. Yuchen, Yueying, and every person who sacrificed his life for this are human heroes. Yueying walked to the two people, her eyes softly looking at the planet, and she said lightly, "Longhead, you have grown from a young leader to a symbol of human rejuvenation. Your courage and wisdom have allowed us to see the dawn of hope." Guanting was silent for a moment, and then he gave a speech to all the staff through the communication channel. His voice was low and full of strength. "Brothers and sisters, we have been hardworking and paid countless generations, but today, we finally stood at the door of our new home. This planet will be where human civilization begins again. I promise you that we will rebuild our home so that our descendants will no longer wander and no longer fear. From today on, human beings will stand in the sea of stars with a new attitude." An excited voice filled the communication channel, and the staff's eyes were filled with longing for the future. Dawn landed on the blue planet. When the door opened, the fresh air came over, and the sun shone on everyone's face, like a long-lasting warmth. Guanting walked out of the boat, stepped on the soft land, closed his eyes, and took a deep breath. Behind him, the crew walked out of the boat, some cried, some laughed, and some knelt on the ground and kissed the land. They know that this moment belongs to every individual category. In the sea of stars, the dawn is quietly anchored on the land of the new home, and the scars on the body witness the hardships it once had. And Guanting, this young leader, stood in the middle of the crowd, gazing at the horizon in the distance. A group of never-ending flames ignited in his heart. The human rejuvenation begins at this moment. Terms, about 3,750 words.